Well, good morning and welcome to CityLine. I am in my kitchen and this is our Zoom once a week. It is great to be in your home. We have a wonderful hour ahead of us. Later on, we'll be talking with Christina Westfelling of Tacoma Art Museum about some of the virtual ways that you can stay connected with Tacoma Art Museum during this time. And then we will have Margaret Weatherby on. She is the head of collections for Washington State Historical Society. And guess what? They are collecting stories about COVID-19 because, as my grandmother always said, if we forget the past, we are doomed to repeat it. So they're wanting all of your stories and I would say articles about how you're spending your time during this COVID-19. Stay home, stay healthy. The Small Business Incubator will be here. Bethany is here to talk about some ideas and some programs they have for our small businesses. We have Victoria from the Humane Society. She'll be here with our Pet of the Week. And with me right now, I have one of my favorite people. She is endlessly generous to us here on CityLine. She always makes time for us amidst her very busy schedule. And I don't think I know anybody who probably has a busier schedule than she does right now. I'm talking about Carla Santorno. She is our superintendent of Tacoma Public Schools. Hello there, Miss Carla.
Hello, Amanda. How are you?
I am hanging in there, my dear. How are you?
I am hanging in too. That's what we're all doing.
That's right. As our mayor says, we are compassionate Tacoma, and we're going to get through this together.
Amen.
And
Amen.
I can't thank you enough for always just saying yes to us here on CityLine.
I always say yes to CityLine. You do a great service for the city of Tacoma. I appreciate it so much. So I want to be a part of it.
Right back at you, sister. So let's talk about what's happened since the last time I talked with you. You were actually on the comfy couch at that point. We had just started Stay Home, Stay Healthy. I believe that it seems like years ago, and I know it wasn't. But since then, Governor Inslee and Superintendent of Public Instruction, Chris Reichdahl, have announced that all schools will remain closed for the rest of the 2019-2020 school year in order to slow the spread of COVID-19. So big question for you, Carla. Tell us what that means to Tacoma Public Schools.
So the number one thing it means is that we keep on teaching the way we are right now, which is that we've got incredible teachers reaching out to their students by email, by phone, and by team meetings and different kinds of technology. And we're going to keep right on doing that. They are teaching the Washington State standards that are totally aligned with the grade level and the content for each one of those students. We have teachers in the secondary level that are managing to put together some team or technology classrooms to talk to students. And I got the greatest video today from Lisa Keating, our board of directors, who the teacher had put together a video of she's a cooking teacher, and she had put together all the videos of the assignments that she'd had her students make and sent all the pictures of the different dishes. So great teaching going on. I'm so proud of that.
Oh my gosh, I think that perhaps is a COVID-19 cookbook in the works.
Amen. It would be great. It was they're the greatest pictures. We got to get it on our web so people can see it. So hoo-hoo to that teacher. I love her.
Absolutely. So now we are doing distance instruction, Carla, which is not the same as online school. Is that correct?
That is correct. So it's not a replacement for the physical school. It's not, excuse me, it's not an online school that's just digital, and it's not being on a computer all day. What it is a a way for our teachers to contact our students. And like I said, they're using phone, they're using email, and they are using, some technology. It doesn't mean that we might not have students doing some online learning. We have graduates or seniors that this is their year. And some of them who are short credits are doing an online course or two, that's for sure. But it's basically a student to student and a teacher to student combination of work. We have counselors that are working with students that needed some extra help during, you can imagine we have students that need extra help during this time that are going through some social emotional delays, and we have counselors helping them. So it's any kind of contact that we have with our students that's designed to make sure their learning is continuous. And that's what we're working on.
Once again, Tacoma Public Schools, from cradle to college, you have nailed it right there. So since students would not have finished a full school year, Carla, how are the grades being calculated?
So they are finishing the school year because they're still getting continuous learning. So we're assuming that. Excuse me. Grading is an issue, and we know that. And I tell you, I've been on several visual calls with superintendents throughout the state, trying to decide, because we really have a desire to do this all the same way, but it's just not easy. And so we will figure out a grading system. We want to make sure that no student is harmed. I'm sure this wasn't you, Amanda, but I was one of those procrastinators that waited till the last minute and said, whoa, just watch me soar when we hit April. And so if you are one of those kids, you could be sweating about now. So what we want to do, our path has been, we're connecting with every single senior and asking them where they are and what they need to finish. We're waiting for the state to actually, the state, Chris Rakedahl has the final decision. He can overturn local decisions about grading. So before I announce what our plan is, and I like our plan, but before we announce it, we want to make sure that it's being blessed by the state. So we will grade students fairly and give them something they can take on, especially we want to make sure our seniors know you'll be able to go to a college. We're in touch with our higher education partners to find out. Everybody's sensitive to the situation. And so we want to take care of our graduates too.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, last week I had on Jonathan from Palmer Scholars, and he was talking about the work that they are doing. And, he gets his marching orders from the great example that Tacoma Public Schools is setting, where this may have happened to us, but our kids are still exercising their love of learning during this time.
Amen. And great examples of that all over the place.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Tacoma Public Schools recently distributed approximately 3,000 laptops to high school students and also advanced placement students in lower grades who need to complete the online coursework. Tell us about that, and then also tell us, how is it going?
Okay, so our first priority when we found out that we weren't coming back to school is that we had to make sure that we didn't disadvantage our students that, we're going to need those online courses. So our first attempt was to make sure that we got computers in the hands. And if you looked at our schedule, it was seniors first, and second AP and IB students, and we would have gotten them a computer. Believe it or not, we ran out on day 2. So it just speaks to the level of need that's in our community with devices for students and connectivity. So we are working to get more computers. We have a technology levy. We're looking at various strategies for putting hands. Our highest priority is if we have an AP or a graduate, a 12th grader that doesn't have a computer, we want to take care of them. We're arranging different socially distanced places where students can go and take their AP exam or their IB exam. And IB and AP and our college boards have been very sensitive to this issue. And, they're allowing some exceptions to the timeline and some of the rules they have about where you take it, how you take it, how long you take it, those things are being adopted. So we will ensure that our graduates get the devices. And to be honest with you, Amanda, we don't know how long this is going to last and where it's going to go. And if we might get back into school and they may say, Santorno, take them back out. So we want to get to a place where we can make sure that we have a loaner device or a computer in the hands of all of our students, so that if this happens again, we'll be ready to go. Now, again, not so that we have online learning. Everybody's, I'm not putting a computer in front of a kindergartner for 6 hours. My mom didn't raise any dummies. But we do want them to have an opportunity, to get online. A state issue is connectivity, because everybody does not have internet or access to internet where mom and dad can work at home and the students can also do their homework. And so that's a statewide issue. We're asking the state and the governor and Superintendent Rakedahl help us with what are some issues that we can get some connectivity in our homes. We'll continue to work on that.
Carla, I love how you have covered, you and your team, all the barriers that perhaps would pop up during this time. And when you were talking about IB testing and AP testing, it took me right back to when my daughter was a junior and was taking those courses and those tests, and it was stressful enough during that time, let alone adding this onto it. So right. I see such a beautiful co-parenting heart in you and your team to understand that this is just nail biting for parents to watch their children to take something that really determines their future college success. And I thank you so much for using such kid gloves with this, because this is hard.
They're hard issues. They really are.
They are. Speaking of graduation, and I hate to even bring it up, but I feel obligated to, what will that look like this year?
So my best answer is I'm not sure, but we've got lots of different strategies in the works. So, if the science of the disease dissipates and we get some kind of indication that we can gather, in a group larger than 10, who knows? We might be able to have sporadic graduations that are outside, that are 6 feet apart. I don't know. We're looking at those kinds of options. We've canceled the Tacoma Dome, but we're looking at other places that are outside stadiums where we might be able to have a graduation. If that's a no-go and the progression of the disease says, no, you've got to stay, in your house and we're still going to stay, then we're going to do a virtual graduation. I'm practicing my speech that I'll have pre-recorded and we'll have speakers. We'll ask Mayor Woodard to come and give a speech. We will have a graduation of some sort for our youngsters. That's a rite of passage I think most of us remember, and it may not be the same, but we certainly want to give recognition and have a celebration for our students.
Boy, the class of 2020 will be known as the COVID class that could.
Very good. That is great.
Let's talk about when you were on the comfy couch. I saw your eyes get misty when we talked about free meals for children at the 10 middle schools and by bus distribution into neighborhoods across the district. Are we still able to provide that for our children?
We will keep feeding children. And right before we started the call, I called my nutrition guy and said, how many did we serve yesterday? And he said about 19,000. So wow. It is huge. It's getting bigger and bigger. And as we have a bigger impact off of those people that have lost their jobs, I think it's going to grow. You said it. We live in this incredible community that aren't going to let kids go hungry. And so we know we're already putting out, feelers for how can we get more help and how can we take care of this. Our partners have been unbelievable about volunteering and saying, where do we plug in? How do we help? So we're planning on feeding kids through the summer. as this goes on, we're up to the challenge. We'll figure it out. It's important.
I love that. Last question for you, because you embody it takes a village. So, what do you need from our audience village right now? How can we help?
So, there's so many different ways that we can help, and there's been so many people that have come forward and and talked about families that are really in need. So, if you if it's almost anything, if you have a desire to help in a certain way, if you call our partnership office, I'm going to have to get Amanda in our partnership office more help, because she is just fielding questions and helping, because people are offering, to help, all over the place. And it's just wonderful. So right now, we've got stations covered as far as distributing food and things like that. But we have partners that have come out and said, hey, we know you're feeding them during the week. We'll take the weekend. Where do you want us to distribute meals for the weekend? During the summer, is going to be another, as we extend this time, there's going to be more need around that. And so, actually we've gotten great ideas. I had a dear friend call me and say, hey, I've got families here that will adopt a family and provide them groceries, while we go through this. So what do we do? That is amazing. So there's a person, there's a group of people that have decided they can provide, groceries for a family. Those are the kinds of things and offers that we need. And one thing I feel really good about is, because of the relationships that we have in Tacoma, I know that I can call anybody, I know their name, and I can talk to them and I can ask. So feel free, to call us and tell us what you got, and we'll hook you up with a person who needs it. So thank you, Carla. You're amazing. You continue to be amazing.
Well, I have to tell you that I would challenge all of our viewers, if you have the resources to adopt a family, and maybe it's a family around you, or maybe it's a matter of just calling Amanda at the school district and saying,
Sure.
hey, I want to adopt a family, because we are all in this together. Carla, thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot thank you enough for your vision, for your heart, for your grace. This has always been a ministry with you. From the moment that you arrived here, you have continued to love our children like they are your own. So I thank you so much for that. And I want you to keep you and your sweet family safe. And I want more pictures of your grandchild on Facebook, okay?
Okay, we can do that.
All right, my dear, we're going to have you, we'll probably have you back on in a couple of weeks, but until then, take care of you, precious one.